welcome to my channel. I am Angela from artorai.co.uk and my scraps are building up. So I thought what I would do is just show you how I sort out my scraps and try and get them down just a little bit, which I should do more and more often. So I'm going to start with my white scraps. As you can see, I have a lot. This is just absolutely jam-packed with white scraps. And there are different sizes of scraps. So what I like to do is sort them out into, well, sizes or categories. So this would be ideal for sentiments. So put that there. Ow. Something like this. There be another sentiment strip, or possibly some kind of card panel. These can be cut down into sentiments. So anything like this, that's not particularly, let's say this could be a card panel. So I'll put that on a panel. This will be my panel category. That could make a panel, I guess. So I'm going to sort these out into categories, and I'm going to put some music on and just let the video play a little bit speeded up. Right, that'll do for now. So it doesn't matter that they're white, because if you have ink pads or anything like that and blending brushes, you can make these any colour you like. So I'm not concerned about the colour. I have quite a pile. I have a pile here where I could make cards and card panels from. That one's in the wrong place. I'll put that one there. The pile here is where I can die cut and colour, or colour and die cut. These ones are in the scrap pile because, if you can see, they have little dots there where I hadn't removed the bits of metal from the dies, the little sticky out bits of metal. So, but they could still be die cut, or I guess you could cover them with gems or washi tape or something like that. These ones are obviously going to be my sentiment strips. So I thought what I would do is stamp a few sentiments, die cut a few things, put together a couple of cards and see how we go from there. So put those to one side, and these, and I shall find some sentiment strips. Right, I've sorted out some sentiment stamps because I have like a million of them, and I thought I would use my large stamping platform from Sizzix because some of these are quite large. So I'm not gonna cut them out yet. I'm just gonna stamp some sentiments on. The first one is the Stay Wild at Heart one from Crafter's Companion. I'm not sure if any of these will fit. Stay Wild. Yeah, a couple of those will fit on there. I like to leave a bit of a gap between them because I'm not sure how I'm going to cut these yet, or if I'm going to use dies to cut them. So I like to give a bit of a gap just in case. Very nice, and it doesn't matter if they're not absolutely straight, because you can always cut them out straight, if that makes sense. I actually like to use just one stamp set at a time. so I don't get them mixed up and I don't end up getting them lost, because I will if I don't keep everything organised. I'm very scatterbrained. So put this one away, and what do we have here? This is Honeydew Crafts. I think I have one that might fit on here. Yeah, just because on Whitlow they might fit. Right, what does that say? Just because? Yep, that fits nicely. I'll leave a space around all of the edges, as I said, just in case. Oh, very nice. Does need another coat. You can always tell quality stamps, and ink. That's just gorgeous, that's really nice. So I'm going to give them a quick clean, and then I'm going to move that other one to see if it will fit on there. While I'm doing this, I'm actually very interested in your opinion on, some people like long videos, some people like shorter videos, and I'm just wondering if this video is too long, or if you prefer longer videos or shorter videos. That's not really going to fit on there, is it, unless I put it at an angle? No, I'm not going to use that one on there. I'm going to find a one from a different set. But yeah, if you could let me know if you prefer longer videos or shorter ones, or if you're not really bothered. It just gives me an idea of what people want, that's all. Let's use this one, just a thanks one perhaps. I wonder if that one will fit. Yeah, that one will fit as well. I might try that one. Yes, quality stamps, quality products will tell. I mean, I do get a lot of my stamps and dies from Temu or AliExpress, and most of them are fine, but you get the odd one that just doesn't work properly. But at least, you know, if you buy them from there and you do get a dud one, at least it hasn't cost a fortune. But when you buy quality stamps, I mean, this is what you get. I mean, that's just gorgeous, isn't it? Right, that fits nicely there. I'm not going to do all of these, by the way, so don't panic. I'm just going to do a few, just to show you how I do it. Just every now and again, if you were to sort out into categories all of your scraps, just every now and again, an hour or two a week, you will find that they soon diminish, and you will always have something on the go. If you need to knock up a card quickly, then you've always got something there. Yeah, that's really nice as well. That's stamped nicely. And wherever you get your stamps from, you know, just take care of them, and they should last you a long, long time. Try not to use anything too abrasive on them. I mean, if I've used a pigment ink, then I do find I have to use alcohol to clean them, but as long as you clean it and get off as much of the alcohol as you can, I don't see why there's no reason they can't last for a long time. I think I'll do one more sentiment strip because I want to show you something that as well that I do. Right, so we also have these Simply Sentiments die set. Now for these sentiments, obviously they can't be stamped, but I can use them on my little craft buddy. That was just from Temu as well, but you can get these just about anywhere. So I think what I'll do, this is thick. I think this is my 300 GSM. So what I'm going to do with this is give it a nice background. What colour background will I give it? That's a nice one. Berry Burst. Let me get my brush. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to be the shadow die. It's up to you how much ink you want to put on. You can absolutely soak it and make sure that it's covered completely. You could use your Distress Oxide inks because they cover absolutely beautifully. But to be honest, like I said, this is just going to be the shadow die, so it does not have to be perfect at all. But that's a beautiful colour, isn't it? I really like that. This is where I normally get it all over my hands. Okay, not too bad. And I'm going to let that dry, and while that's drying I'm going to cut out the actual sentiment itself. And you could actually use that as a stencil on something else if you wanted to cut that out, and if you wanted to keep all these little bits for fitting in later. I don't usually do that, but that's a way to go if you want it. Perhaps I should have used some sticky sheet on there, but it's all about using my scraps. I don't really need to add anything else into the equation. Now we're going to use the shadow die. I didn't even think to check if it would fit, but it does just lovely. Oops. Again, some tape on. But there, that's still okay, that's fine, isn't it? Nothing wrong with that. Now that has got ink all over it, so, and it's been used a few times, so I'm just going to throw it out. Okay, that to one side. I'm going to try my best to glue this together without getting glue everywhere, so I'll use my reverse tweezers. These are Sizzix ones. I love them, very strong. And I'm just going to put little dots of glue on, hopefully not too much. Beauty about the reverse tweezers is that it takes no effort on your part to hold them in place, because it does it all for you. You could of course put some glue on your, well, like a rubber mat or your glass mat, dip it in a sponge and put it on there. There we go, that's got on really nicely, and that's all because of those tweezers. Very nice. I haven't used these very often, but I came across them the other day. I completely forgot I had them, and I've been using them non-stop ever since. They're really good for little fiddly delicate work like this, because normally I hold the sentiment in my fingers and I'm getting glue everywhere and it goes on my fingers and all over the card, but that's turned out really nicely actually. Because this glue seems on the verge of drying out, just push the air out. It doesn't matter if you waste glue, because wasting a little bit of glue through the top is much better than getting it all clogged up in there and having to clean that out. So whichever glue bottle I'm using, I always give it a squeeze just to get the air or the glue out of the top. Right, so that is another sentiment, and that's great because, like I say, you can have any colour background you like just using your ink, so it doesn't matter if all you have are your white strips. So I'm really pleased with that. I think that's, and you can't tell that it's been inked. It doesn't look blotchy or patchy or anything like that. That's really nice, that I like it. So you can do that with your white scraps, your sentiment strips, what I call them. So I'll probably do a few more of those in different colours. And of course, if you don't have any storage boxes, you can make your own. I have plenty of videos on making your own boxes, and you can make them whichever size you like, depending on the method that you choose. Yeah, so once you've made your sentiments, you could make a box just for your sentiments. You could make a box just for embellishments, just for flowers, just for animals, or anything else that you want to make. So that is my sentiments pile. Make loads of sentiments out of that pile there. And then what we can do is you can use your trimmer or your guillotine or whatever you use to trim these up. Or if you have sentiment dies, which I do somewhere, you can just, if there aren't any that fit, obviously just cut them out. But I have a lot of sentiment dies and I'm not sure where they are. I also have these from Stampin' Up. I have quite a few punches which I could use for sentiments, I guess, if you're good at cutting, which I am not. So if you're not very good at cutting, you can cut them on an angle, or you could cut round them. Like I said, I'm not good at cutting, I'm just going to show you something that you can do. Yeah, that's not gone right, of course. Anyway, just ignore the cutting on that. But you can cut around it, you can cut them out straight. You can, I mean, I normally use my guillotine because obviously I can't cut straight, as you can see. But that's just a couple of ideas of what you can do. So I actually have quite a few of these sentiments strips or sentiments in a box, and I keep them all together, and then no matter what colour card I'm making, no matter what occasion, I usually have something to cover it. So that's the sentiment ones now. I'll just show you a few of these. Like I say, that didn't really turn out right, but I guess if you had I suppose if you had a hole punch, you could punch a hole in there and have thread ribbon through it, tie ribbon on, and that could be used for a sentiment or a kind of decoration. You could colour it in. The same could be said with that one. Punch a little hole there. Yeah, that's a good idea. That I might do that. Punch a hole, put some ribbon through, and these don't have to be wasted. So again, if I can find, let me see, I've got a few different styles of punches. I'm just going to show you this one. So yeah, that's fine. So you could use that, print a sentiment on there or something else, whatever you wanted, and you could use that, and then there's nothing much you can do with that, so I would just put that in the recycle bin. Let me see what else. Yeah, I'm going to put those to one side. They can still be used. Right, what I'm going to do now is take out a folder of dies that I put away last year and I've never taken out since because they've been sort of hiding away and I forgot about them. So I'm going to go through all of my old dies. I don't like that. Why have I got that? I have aperture dies. I have snowflake dies. So go through with your paper, see what would fit, see what you could cut out. That looks like a little folder, doesn't it? And that's like a background die. I think I used that for a stencil in one video. What do I have here? Oh, lots of flowers. So yeah, you could cut out flowers and colour them in. Do you know, I have all of these dies and I can't even remember what they are or where I got them. So these look as though you could use, see, these could be used as sentiments. So whatever scraps you have, just take them out and just give them a rough measure to see if they would fit. Like these flowers would fit on here. So you could make lots of flowers. You could just cut out loads and loads of flowers and then just leave them white, and then when you see the project that you want to make, you can just colour them in accordingly. So I have some house dies, some street dies. They would possibly fit. Let me see. Yeah, because I have quite a lot of these. Yeah, they would fit on there. That's a beautiful aperture die. That I made a stencil out of that and it's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, you can make little street scenes for your cards if you have these dies, obviously. Some more aperture / background dies. None of those will fit. These are just a fraction of the dies that I have. Oh, these are my little animal ones. They're all over the place because they've all been stood up. I'll have to sort those out later. So yeah, these are animal dies. So you could cut a load of these out and just leave them white, and as we say, colour them in as you need them. Oh yes, and of course the nesting dies, these are always handy. So you could get some out of there. Yeah. So what you could do is obviously cut that out, and that can become a frame for something. It could be used on a DL card or another project. Just colour it in when you need it. More nesting dies. Some tag dies there. Tags make nice sentiments. So yeah, you can make a nice big tag out of there. And I suppose you could put those two together and make a frame, like a tag frame as well. Yeah, some more little tags there. More, do you know, I didn't even know I had all of these. Oh, these make absolutely gorgeous frames for decorations on cards. But look, little baby ones here, which I didn't even know I had. They're really cute. Right, so, oh yes, I do remember that one. I've used that a couple of times. In fact, I'll use that one now. That's really nice. So again, you've got your background or your shadow die. I think that's some kind of journal and pocket die, I guess. There's another sentiment there. There's one, thanks and for you. Is that it? Right. So I shall put this back for now, and I'll have to remember that that flower die is from the very back. So I'm going to have a bit of an experiment with this. I'm going to try cutting them out together first. So I can't remember what happens when you cut these out. There's only one way to find out. I'll go back and forth. Oops. Oh my goodness. Nearly. I put them on upside down. Did anybody notice that? Because I didn't. What am I like? Oh well. Leaving my mistakes, it might help somebody else. Honestly, I'm hopeless. I'm always doing things like that. Okay, that didn't happen. Like I said, I'm going to go backwards and forwards twice with this die being a little bit more intricate. Right, so that just cuts out the frame, so that's no good. So, get everything out of here. I think sometimes I find with these intricate dies, it's best to use a paper that's a bit thicker, because the thin paper might just tear as you're trying to take them off. Okay, so that's actually really nice. That's nice, that, isn't it? Right, so it looks as though you can't cut them out together. I'm going to try this again on some coloured cardstock. You know, I'm just going to use the same colour again because that's the brush I have out. And it happens to be a beautiful colour. I don't know if you can hear how windy it is outside, but I've got the window open because it's still warm, but it just keeps blowing shut. Of course, you don't have to use the same colour. You could blend in different colours and have like a multicoloured background die. That's another look. Never thought of that actually, or else I probably would have done it. Never mind. That ink's going to be a little bit damp. I could have dried it with my heat gun, I guess. Yeah, if you heard that, that was an actual horse whinnying outside. I'm lucky enough to live in the countryside. We have all kinds of animal visitors and animal noises. It's lovely. That's done that because it was wet. okay, they can go in the bin. I normally use them as often as possible, but got them covered in ink. Right, so now what you would do is get the glue again and just glue it on there like that. And like I say, this would have been nicer, I think, or just as nice, with different colours on. That would have been nice. But yeah, so if you have dies, get rid of this now, don't need that for anything else. So if you have dies, these could be cut into flowers or animals or anything like that. This is worthless, I'll put that away. I'll throw that away. So yeah, that can be used for a card or something. In fact, it will go nicely with that sentiment, wouldn't it? Now I shall clear this away and get on to the card ones. Right, I'm going to show you what I do with my card panels now, along with something that I haven't really tried before. This is really, really thick with ink, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But if you do find that you want to clean it a bit, just spray it a bit with water and then it'll just come off really, really well. It will take a long time doing it this way. You can wash it under the sink if you like, but I find it just gets rid of some of that, well, a lot of that ink if you don't particularly want that much on it. So you can just keep doing it over and over again, or like I say, just put it in the sink and wash them. Because I do have other reds, deep reds and things that I use with this brush. So it doesn't have to be perfectly clean, but I don't really want two colours to mix together too much. You can see how much is coming off there. This is perfect if you just want to do a little bit of light blending. You know, you don't have to clean your brush, you can just leave it on and just do some light blending whenever you want to, using that colour. But I just wanted to show you how adding water can help a lot if you want to get a lot of the ink off any of your blending brushes. Sometimes I use this brush for dark pinks or purples, and I don't like the colours to mix together too much because I don't have tons of blending brushes, and the blending brushes I have, I sort of keep my Distress Oxide ones separated from my normal dye inks. So occasionally I'll clean the odd one like this, or I'll clean it in the sink. You can see there's not nearly as much coming off now. You'll not get it completely clean like this, but at least you can get off the majority of the ink. And now I can maybe use that for a purple or something. Obviously take off a bit more colour and then use it for a different dark similar colour. Right, so I mustn't have used this one because it's, I don't know if you can see, it's not quite even, so I'm going to even this up with my, where have I put it? I've just moved everything round in my craft room and I'm losing everything, which defeats the purpose of reorganisation. So I'll take out my Crafter's Companion guillotine, which I love, it's very sharp. I'm just going to take off a tiny little bit at the side. Yeah, so now it's even at both sides. I'm going to put this away back in its box because I will have an accident if it's left lying around. So there we go, something else for the recycle. But I love that guillotine because it just takes off the tiniest bits with no issues at all. Okay, so I think one of the other reasons I put this on my scrap card pile is because I don't normally have them open in that way. So I think I meant to cut it that way and it went wrong, so I suppose you could use it that way if you wanted. So this is an aperture die. Yeah, so what you could do is blend some colour on here, cut out the aperture on another piece of card and stick that on top. This is a beautiful blue from Stampin' Up, it's called Azure Afternoon. See if I can find my blue brush. So I'll make sure this is the right way first. and I'm going to start blending on this side. And this certainly does not have to be even, so don't worry about that. So I'll let that dry. I haven't done this before, so I don't really know what I'm doing, you might have guessed. So I'm going to put that through. See what we have here. Yes, I think I used this as on a stenciling video once, showing you how to make your own stencils, so that will go on there like that. But you can see I should really have cut this the same size as that. No matter, I can still do it on another one. That's going to be okay. I don't think we need to do any more colouring at the minute. But I do need to find a larger piece that fits this exactly. So that is just over 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut this down to exactly 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I can cut this down to the same, and then it should fit on nicely. Okay, so just to be sure, yeah, that will fit on there nicely. So I'm going to put this through my big shot with that same aperture die. I'll use that, I don't know why, just like it. So I'm going to spray, I'm going to give it a couple of spritzes of water, because it's quite thin, and it should protect it a little bit from going right through, because this is a 3D embossing folder. There. Just a couple of spritzes. I'm going to try and put it through without too much pressure. Okay, that wasn't much pressure at all, so this is either going to work or it's not. Oh, and it has. Oh, how lovely. There was hardly any pressure on there at all. But it's turned out really nicely, so I have no idea if this is going to work. And it's not embossed right at the edge, but just have to see how that goes. Okay, we'll see where we are now. I'm not sure if this has worked. Only one way to find out, because this was just a cheap die from Temu, and it's served me well up to now. But see how it goes on here. So it hasn't turned out too badly. So will that now fit on there? That should now sit nicely on there. So I'm going to very carefully glue this down. I'm going to go on the outsides with my Collall glue. Okay, I've just hurried this, so I don't know if it's going to stick down properly or not. I just wanted to see what it would look like with being embossed before I cut it out, and it looks okay. I mean, with not being much pressure, it hasn't really embossed at the bottom here as well as it should. But as I said, because it was a 3D folder, I was a bit wary of embossing it a bit too much. Well, that looks okay. Oh yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? So it opens like that, so I guess I could put a sentiment there. I could have even stamped on a sentiment before I embossed it. That would have looked nice and simple. But I guess we could have that one there. So I guess we could prop that up there and have a card, couldn't we? I guess we could prop it up there, couldn't we, and put a few decorations on. I mean, this is not going to be fantastic. It's just to show you what you can do with all your scraps really. So I've just got a few of these little foam strips. I'll just shove a few on there. I mean, if you wanted to, you could ink around the edges the same colour as that. That would look nice as well, I think. Okay, so you could have something like that, and you could decorate it with a few gems. Should we try that? Just try and make it look a little bit better. So I don't know what you think of that. I mean, it's not fabulous, but it's just to show you something you can do with your scraps. I think this is just another example of something you can do. If you have stamp and die sets, you can you can stamp, colour and cut, so you always have something ready to go. You can leave them white until you're ready to colour, but to save time, anything that has a specific colour requirement, like I don't know, a crocodile or a tiger or whatever, you can stamp, colour and cut, and then you always have these on like ready at hand. But one thing I do like to do is make lots and lots of thank you cards. These are all thank you cards I've made with scraps. This is obviously paper scraps and there's nothing inside. They're just literally thank you cards for anyone who buys them from me. That was actually made with this really adorable snowflake punch. I don't know if you can see that there. That is really cute. So, and I just put a few little gems in the middle there. So when I was doing a video not so long back, I cut out a few bees because I wasn't sure, because I have a cutting machine, and I cut out quite a few bees because I wasn't sure which one I would be wanting to use for the video. So I just cut out a few of them, and then I had some left, so I just put them on some thank you cards. Well, they're not really thank you cards as such. They're more cards that I send as freebies. When somebody buys anything from me, they always get a card with a little envelope, and then they can use it however they like. This is made from a die, a really, really nice die. I think that's in the other room at the minute. This was just made from a punch with a sentiment on, same as that. These are made with some flowers. Again, I used the cutting machine to cut out a load of flowers. And I had a load left over, so I just put some on there with another die that was stamped. And I think this was red. This was a punch. This one here was one of my Stampin' Up punches. That one there. And that was a die. So I just stamped on die cut, put on another die cut. And this one, I probably won't send this to someone. I'm not really happy with this one. I probably shouldn't have cut the flower off there. But again, another die. I haven't really done anything with this yet, but for that, I used another punch. This is a Crafter's Companion punch, little hearts, that's all. So I just cut hearts in the four corners and just have something to do with that. And just a little bit of ribbon, another die and a little bit of ribbon. And these are some more things that I cut with my scraps. So there are a few card panels in there. So that's basically just a few things you can do with your scraps. And that's without even your pattern paper or your coloured card. So what I normally do is, for instance, this is a card, pretend. I have a bag specifically for coloured pattern card and acetate. So any coloured card you could cut down to put on there and make a little panel, or you could cut it out. I haven't one on hand at the moment. You could cut it out and make a shaker card like the acetate. So all my acetate, all my coloured and all my pattern papers go in here. So if I need a card in a hurry, I can just make a card or cut a card, or just take one of these. This is quite thin, but you can layer it up. So you could have a couple of layers on there, you could have a couple of layers inside, and that would really thicken that up. So I could take a piece of pattern paper out of there and put it on there with maybe another layer on top, embossed or something like that. And then what I like to do inside is have some pattern paper, the same as what's on the front, and then a piece of white on top of that, so they can write anything on it, and it makes it really solid as well. So I don't know how helpful this video has been, because obviously this didn't go brilliantly, but I just wanted to show some of the things that can do with your white scraps. Your white scraps don't have to stay white. You can colour them in at any time with any inks or with any paint, with any medium you like. You can colour them. I think I saw somebody, wish I could remember where it was, they used washi tape and put it on the back of like three scrap pieces. So for instance, say I taped these together, turn them over, and then all she did was get, I think it was alcohol markers, or it was ink which she watered down, and she just put loads and loads and loads of stripes on like that, and it just made some beautiful pattern paper. So you don't even have to solidly colour it. You can watercolour it. You can do all sorts with them. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any more ideas as to what you can do with your scraps, how you organise them, what you make them into, I'd be very, very interested in that. So you can either leave it in your comment, or you can leave it on my Facebook page. You can tag me on Instagram, I'm Arterai. Anything like that. I would love to see what you do with your scraps, because I'm always looking for new ideas. But this is just a very basic video, just how I put them into categories, and just a few things that I do just to make them into cards. So no matter how many scraps you've got, you can always make them into cards. For instance, your pattern paper, you can cut into flowers. You can use flower dies and cut them out and fit them together and put those on cards. You could cut them into strips and put them on a card. It's sort of a faux washi tape type effect if you wanted to. You could use your border dies and cut them out and fit them on. There's literally no end to what you can do with your scraps. So I'm not telling you to keep every tiny little bit of scrap. I mean, it's not doable, and they would end up taking over your house. So don't be afraid when you've finished with them just to put them in the recycle bin and say goodbye to them. But yeah, you can make some decent projects. I mean, I even keep scrap pieces of chipboard. You could use them for sticky note covers and things like that. So just a few ideas anyway, but it is a good idea to sort them out into different piles, and that to me it's a little less overwhelming. So you feel as though you know where to start when you do that, because sometimes I open up that bag and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with all of these? But sorting them out into piles like that really does help. And to be honest, by the time you finish sorting them out and die cutting them and putting sentiments on and cutting your card panels, your cards are you're going to end up with a load of cards before you even know it. So I hope that was helpful. I really appreciate you stopping by and giving me a portion of your day. I love that so much. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye now.